Welcome back to another episode of The Last Time We Met. And the last time we met St Kilda was round 2, 2024. Spuds game. We've just come off 2 losses. It was an insane game. Let's talk about it. So Collingwood had just come off winning a premiership and we were the reigning premiers, which is really nice. And then we get to season 2025. We start with an opening round game against the Giants and we lose that one. We unfurl our flag at the MCG in front of the Swans and we lose that one. Then we take on St Kilda. St Kilda had sold their game from Marvel to the MCG to play in front of a near-packed crowd for Spud's game, right? And we lose that one by 15 points. And Collingwood are looking down a 0-3 barrel. And I remember after that game, I remember sitting there saying that this game will cost us towards the end of the year. And lo and behold, I know we had a couple of draws and stuff like that, but lo and behold, we miss out on finals by a game or so percentage and stuff. And it all stemmed from that just insane start to our year.
And a beautiful finish for the opening goal for the Pies.
So this was that game in the first quarter where Mason Wood broke his collarbone and play was stopping. It looked absolutely horrific. And then from there is kind of when St Kilda rallied. Now, we went into halftime being on top and you're thinking, okay, we had a little bit of a scare at the start. St Kilda came back. They were sort of, all rallied around Wood and they sort of come back. And then the second half happens and it was like we were hit by a freight train. I know it was only a 15-point loss, but it felt like a 45, 10-goal loss, you know what I mean? It was just one of those games where we knew that we had dropped it. We probably should have beaten them, but we knew that we had dropped it. St Kilda brought the pressure. They fixed up their contested work. This was also the game where Jack Higgins kicked 4 goals, but that last goal, he kicked it from the Jollymont Station car park, and no umpire saw it, and they called it a goal. Max King kicked 3 goals. I think even Tim Memory, when he was playing for the Saints, kicked a couple of goals as well. So whatever could go wrong on that game went wrong.
Howe's got to beat 2. No one looked after Membry. Almost gloved it as well. Moore knocks it to Higgins. It was out of bounds, I reckon. Gee, I thought it was out of bounds. Long kick is a goal. I thought he was out. Umpire said play.
It was just the fundamentals that we were getting wrong. Very slow, very sloppy, and it was just very uncharacteristic like from Collingwood. And it wasn't even just that game. It was those 3 games surrounding it. When that final siren came on, we hadn't sung the song since the premiership. We were 0-3. We faced a huge test going over to the Gabba, where Brisbane also was 0-3. So everything was going wrong to start the season as premier defenders. And you could see the headlines writing themselves, like, premiership hangover. Did the Pies celebrate too hard? Was their documentary too much? Did they go, you could just see it building. And when you start the season off 0-3 after you win a flag, that's fair enough, We were just, like I said, an un-Collingwood-like start to the season and an un-Collingwood-like performance against a team that we usually have the wood over.
Beautiful ball to Membry. King wants it, 1 out. Didn't get the depth in the kick that he'd hoped. Side bottom there, knocks it to Higgins. Higgins runs in and kicks his 3rd.
So what's changed since then and now? I think belief and a clean run of injuries and a bit more team chemistry. Now, you'll say maybe we did party a little bit too hard after the grand final, but to be honest, why wouldn't we? But you look at what we did against the Saints last year, and the main reason why we were sort of losing that were we weren't defending our turnovers well. Saints kicked 12 goals from Collingwood turnovers, right? And then you look at it this year and it's just a stark contrast, and we are number 1 for defending our own turnovers, so not letting the opposition score from our turnovers and scoring from opposition turnovers. That wasn't our bread and butter last season. And you go back and look at that St Kilda game itself, and St Kilda were just out-pressuring us. You look at it now, we are out-pressuring every single team that we play. It's just incredible what 12 months difference can do, what a couple of new personnel can do, And now, from being a premiership premier hangover last season, we are competing again for one this year.
Very high ball. Closing his Cox. There he goes. Bobby Hill gets them within 21.
The biggest lesson to take out of last year's game is to not underestimate St Kilda, or just don't underestimate teams that are lower than you. If you are 2% off, even 1% off your game, these teams can absolutely jump you. But I hope that over the last 12 months, we've learned that even if we do get jumped, we dig in and we keep going.
Umpire doesn't play a free kick, and then he's dragged down strongly. Oh no!
For St Kilda, they know they can topple a giant. They'll look at the round 2 game as a blueprint. High intensity, stop the Pies surge, get the Pies on the outside, stop Nick Dacos at all costs. It is going to be an absolutely epic game, and I can't wait to see it. But before the game today, let me know your memories of last year's game. Were you there? What did you think? Who was your best on ground? Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers, I'll soup you later.